It's almost dark. It's dusk, whatever you want to call it. I went to my semi-trailer. My friend needed some 300ZX calipers. I had fronts. I couldn't figure out where I put the rears. I know I have a few sets of them, but you know, the whole issue is I have all these dope parts, but I have them so spread out because I don't have a shop. So it's hard to find stuff. So I sold those, and then I got rid of an SR power steering pump. But while I was at it, I found one of my calipers, and I had to wash them off because the whole mouse issue. So I found, come on, one of my calipers, and it's a Mac Tools one. I didn't even remember it was. And then I found a tap set, but it was inch, which, you know, I guess I don't know. I really don't use inch anything, but it's good to have. And then I found this. I've been really trying to find this. I got it from the pawn shop a long time ago. They come in handy. It's called a power probe. So I really like these. If you don't have one, I'd recommend getting one, because what it does is it shows you grounds or you know, the B plus, and then you could also test B plus. So if you want to put power to something, you pretty much just you flip the switch and it gives it power. It's a great tool to have. If you don't have one, I recommend getting one for your, you know, if you're doing any electrical troubleshooting. This is way better than I'd say a voltmeter or like a test light. You can do a lot more stuff with it. It actually tells you a little bit. It tells you if it's grounding or if it's shorting the ground or something like that. So definitely recommend getting one of these. But yeah, so I found those when I was looking for the other stuff. I also found some radiators that I wanted to try on the VR4. You know, I don't like how the VR4 radiator setup is right now, and the intercooler setup. I'm not going to fix it, you know, right away, right now. I'm definitely going to leave it how it is. I just want to get painted and drive it a little bit, but probably after, maybe over winter, or after I figure out the whole shop house situation, I want to pretty much get rid of this radiator. This location is no good for me. Plus it's right next to the turbo. I don't like how that whole setup is. What I want to do is, instead of having a front mount, I want the intercooler to be right here, or not right here, but a little bit, you know, further up here, maybe at a little angle configuration, something kind of like the FD. And then I also, I'll go grab one really quick and I'll be back. All right, so I'm back. I got these off of they're off a 911 turbo. And so how they are mounted on a 911 turbo is pretty much in this configuration right here. And so there's one on each side, and then there is a really thin center radiator, which, so I would pretty much have the radiator in front of the intercooler. It would come, you know, they're like that tall. So I'd use almost the same setup as a 911 turbo. And you're probably thinking, well, that's gonna be touching the ground. But so right here is the bottom of the headlight bucket. I would probably have to modify this piece right here, probably just cut it right off of here and not run this whole support. I just run the support over, and then this radiator would pretty much sit, you know, you kind of angle them like that and put ducts to them, and that's exactly how they are on the Porsche, just like that. But you know, it would be tucked in under the headlight, and it'd have ducting. It'd almost be like the side mounts. I kind of was reluctant about talking about this so early in the process, because every time I talk about something, somebody else does it. But you know, that's most likely what I'm going to do. It definitely will have a better, you know, cooling efficiency. It won't be so, you know, tucked up here, and then there's turbos and all kinds of other stuff, and the fans, they're pretty much right here, and it kind of makes everything, you know, cluttered. If I have the intercooler up here, there won't be any fans. I could run a hood vent to it, and all that stuff. But this is later down the road. And then there won't be a bunch of intercooler piping. So there's the piping on this thing's crazy. The back turbo pretty much runs there, runs to this intercooler, runs over to the intake. The other one does the opposite. But and then what bolts on the front of here, what left this little like clean spot, because the car was probably painted before that, is there was an AC condenser. And I'll do the same setup as the 911 for the AC condenser. Center radiator doesn't have an AC condenser, just the two sides. And there's also fans on both backs of each radiator. So, you know, just kind of want to talk about it. And I'm sure I'll have some people that are against the idea, but I really like the idea of running, you know, radiators on the sides of this. And well, later on, but running radiators on the sides of it, running the intercooler right in the center. And then it will make the all the piping for the turbos shorter. And also when I upgrade to EFRs, then the piping will be a little bit bigger than this stuff. I think it's like 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inch, and that'll be 2 3/4. So it will be, you know, quite a bit larger than these. It'll probably be a little bit larger than this, but pretty close. And it'll be hard to kind of route. So just, you know, I don't know what to call it, but just look into the future for the VR4, some side-mounted Porsche radiators. So now what the real plan is for today, I want to pull the downpipe / cat. I think it's all in one off the FD. Let's see if you guys can see it. Yeah, so it's kind of hanging right there. I want to pull that off, and I have to make a new one once I put the EFR on and have all the bolts. Taking the exhaust off the RX-7, and I'm glad I did because the cat is pretty much destroyed. So here's the exhaust. I've had issues, well, there's only one other RX-7, and it's the one I used to drift at the junkyard. Junkyard drifts, but this exhaust, the one at the junkyard I blew the muffler apart on. Oh, I guess there's two. There was like a 12A, and then there's a 13B and a second gen RX-7. The second gen, I got the cat so hot it like lit on fire. The first gen, I blew up the muffler when I like revved it to 9K a bunch of times, just like messing around in the yard. So this one, probably, you know, had got some fuel in there, and instead of, you know, shooting a flame out the exhaust because there's a cat, it probably just destroyed the cat instead. So I need to pull my new sensor off, but you can hear this. Yeah, that's all the, you know, the cat emissions material. And let's see if I can get some of it out. So yeah, the cat is pretty much destroyed, which I don't think RX-7s were meant to have cats. So I'm guessing this was a high flow cat. And does that say, oh, I thought that said Catco. Usually those are good cats, but what's gonna happen is I'm not going to use this exhaust at all. Well, this part of the exhaust, I'll probably keep the back part, which is a racing beat, and I kind of like how it looks. You know, most people with FDs have a huge can or something, but that's a racing beat. So I will weld a V-band onto that, because I don't want to have the, I I don't like these flanges. I've never liked them. They always leak. You always smell exhaust. So V-bands. You can see there's no exhaust or anything on this. I guess I'm turning it into non-turbo or something. But no, I'm just glad to get that exhaust off. I'm glad that I did that before I took it to the dyno, because that broken up cat would have caused issues on the dyno. And yeah, so I have already ordered pretty much everything I need to do the exhaust, but it isn't here yet. So I ordered the 3-inch bellows, and I ordered and it's all stainless, so that's stainless. I ordered a stainless bung for the wideband sensor, and because the whole other exhaust was mild steel, the exhaust manifold's mild steel. I like stainless a lot better. I think everybody does, other than Inconel or titanium. So this is a bellow. Pretty much all it does, it's a flex joint, and it doesn't have all that stuff on it. So they the ones with all the mesh on them, that's just like an extra protection layer. This is what they look like underneath. So you really don't need all that extra stuff on there. This looks a lot cleaner. It does the same thing. It's a little flex joint, and pretty much it goes this way, and it allows flex, because you can see in there the little thing. So it is nice, and if you do it this way, you'll have a restriction. So this is on the turbo side. The exhaust flows this way, and gives you a little flex. And I did order actual real gaskets. I mean, the other one was a real gasket, but these are, like the Mazda ones. So I shouldn't have any issues with gaskets blowing out. The exhaust manifold, like you saw in my other video, I painted it. I also tapped this. I'm still waiting for the tap and the drill bit so I can tap that. I did get the fitting in today, so this is the fitting I'm going to use. So I could go to the heater hose, and that'll just be in there. This is 6 and these just go to the turbo, so that'll be a lot cleaner. I need to get all those metal shavings out of there, and I've pulled my tool out to flare the lines, and I'm just waiting for parts. And in this box is a new water pump, a Japanese water pump, not a knockoff one or anything. A good water pump. And yeah, I'm getting pretty close. I keep saying that, but it's pretty much just waiting for parts, and it's kind of a pain that everything ships from different places. Also today I pulled this out of the other intake manifold. I'm pretty sure this is the IAT, intake air temp, and I need to put this into the new manifold, but I'll wait till I do all that other stuff and have everything. Then I also need to wire all these gauges, and maybe tonight I'll take one of these 3 inches downstairs and draw it up in CAD so I can get rid of this whole Gretty elbow and this spacer eventually, and it'll look a little bit better. And also, I almost forgot, I might have shown this last time, but I got a Borg-Warner flange. The reason you want to actually get the real flanges, not the knockoff ones, is you can see the little stepped lip right there. That centers it on the turbocharger, and the knockoff ones usually don't have that, or they're square, and they don't go into the turbocharger. So this is a nice stainless flange. And I think this is a clamp, Coke clamp. Yeah, and those are really good clamps. Most of the Chinese stuff doesn't use them. Those are really good. So I'm gonna V-band the whole exhaust, even the racing beat part. So like I've showed before, what I did was I just used an ink pad, put some ink on there, and make a little stamp. And then I could use this to reverse engineer the flange. And what I'm going to do is go from that to this 3 inch, and it'll pretty much, it won't be this thick, it'll probably be a little bit thinner, but it will just come out and go to a 3-inch, and then from that it'll be a lot shorter than that whole Gretty elbow and the spacer, and then I could just do a 90 off of this other flange and then just go into the intercooler instead of having a bunch of spacers and everything. So I'm gonna probably design that up in this video, and it'll probably be something like that. And I've been working on SolidWorks for the FD, that throttle body flange I was talking about earlier, this thing, to get rid of the Gretty elbow and everything. So I designed something. I'll probably end up sending it off to the machine shop later, but I'll do it when I redo the intercooler and the radiator and everything. But so this is what I designed, and it has this flange right here. Goes to a pretty much to a plate that bolts to the throttle body, and then it's actually nice and smooth in there, and this is only 55 millimeters from flange to flange. So that's it for this video. If you like the videos, make sure to subscribe, comment below, make sure to also click that bell to get notifications. And, thanks for watching. See you guys tomorrow.